What used to be classed as affordable in Ghana has now become luxury. Ghana is all over social media. People that never even looked at Africa before are now looking at Africa, you know, picking up a camera and saying, this happened to me in Ghana, that happened to me in Ghana, whether it be good or bad. It does shape people's views. Okay, so if you come to Ghana and you get a bad reputation for yourself, that thing is going to stick with you for a very long time. Phone credit, you know, you had to go get a scratch card if you run out of credit. It's such a backwards process. $8,100 for a 3-bedroom house, because when you allow people to do what they're naturally good at, you get better results than forcing. Hey guys, welcome back. Okay, today's video, I want to talk about how much Ghana has changed during the 11 years I've been here. I have seen so much change, it's unbelievable. And the reason that I wanted to do this video is because I want you guys to understand how much Ghana can change in such a small space of time. And sometimes some of these changes you may not even notice up front. It's only when you really sit down and think about it, you realize how much it has changed. And therefore you see how much growth has been in the country and perhaps how many opportunities you may have missed. Okay, so let's just get straight into the video. The first one I want to start with is the cost of living. Okay, now let me just say, not everything is good. Not all the changes have been good. Some have been good, some perhaps not so good. Okay, so the first one is the cost of living. The cost of living in Ghana has definitely skyrocketed from 11 years ago. I remember when I first came to Ghana, the exchange rate was 4 cedis to every £1. I think the dollar was around 3 to 1 or something like that. So right now, you know, there's been a lot of fluctuation happening, and the pound is, it's around 14. The dollar, I'm not sure. I think it's around 11. I don't really look at that one too much. I think it's around 11, something like that. But anyway, cost of living has changed. What used to be classed as affordable in Ghana has now become luxury. That should give you some type of idea as to the amount of change that has actually happened during this time. It has changed so much, where things that you used to just buy, like you go to the market with 100 cedis, you could come back with a ton of stuff. Now, go to the market for 100 cedis, you might come back with 2 things. It has changed so much. And honestly, sometimes I wonder how that affects local people, because Ghana is hard, even for those of us in the diaspora that are making, you know, okay kind of money, right? We notice the change. So I can't imagine how Ghanaians have managed to take themselves from that time 11 years ago to now, because of a lot of the time, you know, a lot of Ghanaians, they work for themselves. Salary doesn't really go up that much. And so how they're actually managing to survive during that period, that change, because that is quite a huge change. You know, anytime there's a fluctuation in currency, it affects everything. It affects importation, it affects so many things. So that has definitely, cost of living has definitely been a huge change. The second one is that the social scene in Ghana has completely exploded. And I'd say that has been more in recent years, where social media has just gone wild for Ghana, absolutely. Certain things like events have popped up. Dirty December has been highlighted. I feel like December was always there, but now it has been highlighted globally to the rest of the world. Like Ghana, you know, everybody wants to come to Ghana, or most, okay, I'm not gonna say everybody. A lot of people want to come to Ghana during December, just because of the hype that surrounds what December is like in Ghana. We have restaurants galore. You can have your pick and choose of them. Before, it wasn't like that. Literally, there was just a handful of restaurants that you could choose from that were kind of okay. You know, there are still some staple restaurants around, but for the most part, a lot of the restaurant scenes have changed quite a lot. They're not there as they used to be before, but right now, so many things have popped up. Ghana has definitely been highlighted to the rest of the world, and it is very, very, very apparent, okay? You only have to look at huge events that happen, like with things like Afrofuture, you know, lots of these events that are just happening, not even specifically around December, but just even happening throughout the year. I don't know, I feel like Ghana was, well, I'm going to say this. Ghana was exposed, number one, because of the year of return. And number two, because of the amount of content creators that have popped up in Ghana. it exposed Ghana to the rest of the world, okay? So when you find that content creators, you know, real life people are living this experience where they've come from the West and they've moved to Ghana and, you know, for the most part, they're making it work, they're navigating, it became of interest to a lot of people. And so although some of us were doing it years ago, it definitely wasn't booming as much. I would say that whole YouTube space kind of boomed around the COVID times is when a lot of people were home, and so it exposed Ghana a lot more. So more so in the more recent years, Ghana has just taken a boom. Ghana is all over social media. People that never even looked at Africa before are now looking at Africa, Ghana in specific, because I would say that Ghana is the doorway to Africa right now for a lot of people. But there has been a huge, huge, huge social explosion around the continent during this time. Definitely there has been a lot of diaspora and influence happening, okay? I sometimes I wonder how much we who are influencers in the diaspora realize the amount of impacts that we actually have, the amount of, I want to say power, but power is probably not the right word, but just the amount of influence that we have, okay? How we are actually able to shift the narrative of Ghana by the things that we do, through the things that we do, okay? Some good, some perhaps not so good, okay? So, you know, when we talk about people coming into the country and, you know, picking up a camera and saying, this happened to me in Ghana, that happened to me in Ghana, whether it be good or bad, it does shape people's views, okay? Now, where people had been a lot more, well, you know, what I'm seeing on the news, on CNN or BBC News or whatever, we don't know if that's real. People are just reporting to show us what they want us to see. When it comes to the diaspora and influence and us showing what is happening on the ground, we are real life people, and so therefore we are able to shift the narrative that's happening on the continent a lot easier, okay? So when you turn on your device and you see a real life person living these real experiences who has been living it for some time, it kind of influences your decision making, right? Should I go to Ghana? Should I not go to Ghana? Well, this person has done it. They're doing really well. I like this. I don't like this. You know, it kind of shifts that whole thing. So sometimes I wonder if we realize the amount of influence that we have when it comes to shaping the narrative of what Ghana is. Definitely 11 years ago, it wasn't as prominent. Okay, and I would say the biggest platform at the time had to be YouTube in terms of being able to look into what Ghana looks like, right, on TV or whatever. It was definitely YouTube. It probably is still YouTube in terms of being able to see a real experience, right? Because if you're looking at Instagram for what Ghana is, you're looking at maybe a minute's edited video, even though YouTube is still edited, it's a minute's edited video, right? That doesn't actually encapsulate everything. It doesn't tell the full story, okay? It tells whatever the person wants to tell. Whereas a YouTube video, which is longer, you can kind of see a bit more. You can get a bit more of an understanding as to what it's like to be on the ground. So definitely the diaspora and influence has been huge, even for those that wouldn't even consider themselves influencers per se, are coming into the country and doing things, and it is definitely making a shift, okay? So you're talking about people who have started projects, started businesses. Their influence has been shown sometimes through influencers and sometimes just because, you know, through word of mouth. Word of mouth in Ghana is absolutely huge. So that's something to be careful of. That can be a positive and a negative, okay? So if you come to Ghana and you get a bad reputation for yourself, that thing is going to stick with you for a very long time. But if you come to Ghana and you do good things and you have a good reputation, then, you know, things come your way, good things happen. And so just be mindful of that if you're moving to Ghana, okay? The things that you say and do matters very much so. Ghana is a very, very small place, so behave. Another thing that has changed so much during these last 11 years has been technology. Technology in Ghana has absolutely exploded. Maybe not in comparison to the West, but for what Ghana is and the rate at which Ghana moves, it has really changed a lot. I remember coming to Ghana and, you know, dealing with things like mobile money was very, very difficult. Even topping up Phone credit, you know, you had to go get a scratch card. If you run out of credit, you had to run to the shop to go get a scratch card. You had to scratch that thing off. You had to dial the numbers into your phone, go through all these steps, you know, before you could actually get any credit. And to me at the time, it seemed crazy. I'm like, why is this so backwards? This is not convenient at all. So your best bet was to buy these scratch cards, have them on you in case you ran out, so that you could just scratch a new one. And it was the most annoying process. And I will even say this, right? That whole experience of mobile money topping up is still kind of backwards. It really is. Because to top up money on your phone, sometimes you still need a street vendor, or, you know, the amount of number pressing that you have to do to achieve what you want to get, right? Star 170 hash. Do you want to buy this data? Is it for yourself? Yes. Or is it for somebody else? No. Is it this? Is it like so many steps? Like you can do about 8 steps before you get to where you need to get to. It is such a backwards process, but it's better than what it was 11 years ago. So we still have a way to go, but it is better. The fact that you can sit in your house and top up and pay money and things like that, it is a lot easier. 11 years ago, it was not like that. And so it has changed, but it still definitely has a way to go. You know, we can look at things like online food delivery. Online food delivery 11 years ago did not exist. If you want something, you get in your car, you get in a taxi, you go get it, and that's it. Or, you know, there were some of these local riders around if you trusted them to go pick up the food for you, or if the restaurant had a motorbike service, maybe sometimes they would deliver it to you, but it wasn't all the time. And so to see the growth of what online delivery has become is great. To find apps there where you can literally go through several restaurants and choose which one you want to eat at, see the menu, see the prices, see all of that is amazing. It wasn't like that before. And that goes to show you how opportunities come up, right? Because some of these opportunities have been birthed through people having bad experiences or being frustrated. And so they've been able to create in that space, okay? Menu Finder has been one. You know, he was fed up at a time where he couldn't get online delivery. His wife was pregnant and all of that. And so he ended up creating Menu Finder. And so that's what happens. Sometimes the thing about Ghana is that you have to be on the ground, feel the frustration before something would be birthed, okay? He would not have had that same experience if he was still in the UK and thinking about, oh, what business can I do in Ghana? And thinking, okay, well, maybe, yeah, online food delivery would be great, but trying to do it from there, it doesn't have the same impact. For one, you're not frustrated enough to make it happen. 2, you're also not on the ground to be able to see the realities of what it's like, the frustrations, the things that are still not working well, the things that, you know, you could tweak a bit here and there. You need to be on the ground for certain things. But these are some of the things, even e-commerce, being able to buy certain things online now, it's a lot more accessible than what it was years ago. You know, you had to go pick up things. You had to find something somewhere. You had to rely on word of mouth to find out where things were. A lot of that is not necessarily needed anymore. You can find pretty much, it's still not a great system, but you can find for the most part what you want. You go to Instagram. Instagram is like Yellow Pages, if you know what Yellow Pages is. It's kind of like that. You're looking for something, go on Instagram, look for it, you know. Google, not so much. I feel like we're still lacking in the Google space a little bit. In terms of being able to find and buy things online, it's not as great. So there's still space there, but it definitely has come a long way from 11 years ago. Real estate. Real estate has definitely become a thing right now. Real estate, now we could say this has been good or it has been bad. There are 2 sides to that coin. Okay, so real estate has definitely grown within Ghana over the last few years. It has definitely become overpriced, for sure. People have taken things too far where they have outpriced a lot of the people that are interested in buying, okay, because of the type of profits that they want to receive from some of these things. Now, the other thing is that some people have seen it as a business opportunity and decided that, you know what, the way to go is affordable housing. And so now we are seeing some developments where we could say it is perhaps affordable housing. Okay, we're not talking about $800,000 for a 3-bedroom house somewhere in, I don't know, a Denta or whatever. That doesn't make sense, okay? Where you can now buy apartments for $100,000, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe like a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom. That is still a little bit pricey, but from what it was 11 years ago, and well, actually, yeah, 11 years ago, I would say that some properties were affordable, but you didn't get apartments in this way, okay? I'm gonna say this, but take what I'm saying with a pinch of salt. I would say that the so-called luxury apartment experience is more of a new thing, okay? You didn't really find luxury, even though luxury is not really luxury here. But these type of luxury, nice type of houses, you didn't really see as much back then, but you're seeing it more now, okay? And so $100,000 for an apartment, some people can access it, not everybody, some people. And part of that is due to financing and things like that, but financing for properties has got a bit better. I mean, trying to buy an apartment for $100,000 over 2 years and pay over 2 years is still going to be very rough for some people. But the market is changing. It has opened a bit, but that's a whole discussion in itself. Maybe that's something I'll talk about in another video. We'll see. Right. The next thing that has definitely changed is the career paths in Ghana. Ghana, we've all seen these funny African videos where, you know, everybody wants their child to become lawyer, doctor, you know, all of these office-based, so-called high-profile job type things, right? African parents always wanted to just go into that. And it still was that way, I'd say 11 years ago, it was still very much that way. But now, today, it is changing. People are beginning to understand the content creation space, but not just content creation, but other avenues to create wealth, right? So people are now understanding that someone is a designer, someone's an artist, someone's doing this or that. I would say that market is now opening up, right? So the creative space is definitely a lot more open in Ghana. In fact, I would say that sometimes it's even encouraged, not necessarily by the older generation. They probably don't. It's probably like too much for their time, but definitely for a new generation who have kids coming up, they're understanding that space a lot more, and they're encouraging their kids where they see, you know, certain talents. They're encouraging them to go that way, okay? Especially when it comes to things like technology, programming, you know, all of that kind of stuff. Parents are beginning to understand that, so that space is opening up for sure. Entrepreneurship, that was an interesting one. Entrepreneurship is becoming a lot more accepted than it was all those years ago. And so that is great for Ghana, because I feel like a lot of people in Ghana are very, very creative because of where they're coming from. And so we've been able to make use of that and spring forward because of that. Because when you allow people to do what they're naturally good at, you get better results than forcing someone to be in a career that they really don't like. Like if you force me to go and be a doctor somewhere, right? Even if I have capability to do it, I'm not passionate about it. You're not gonna get the 100% best out of me. But if I want to be an artist and that is my passion and that's what I love to do and I don't even see it as work, you're gonna get a lot better from me. And so that's what we're seeing is happening in Ghana. We're seeing a lot of that from, you know, people designing t-shirts, graffitiing on t-shirts, graffitiing on shoes and things like that. We're seeing those kind of things develop a lot more. And so that industry in Ghana is definitely starting to take shape a lot more. Power issues, this is not necessarily a good, I'd say it's kind of this kind of a one, right? Power issues have changed, okay? So 11 years ago, I've spoken about it so many times, the light off situation was absolutely atrocious. 12 hours on, 24 hours off. We went through that experience. It was horrible. We were off for a lot of the time. It was horrible. Now in Ghana, we still get light off, but we have solutions around it. We have a lot more people using generators, using solar systems. Even when you do have light off, it's not as bad as what it was all those years ago. So there has been a shift. It's still not the best. It would be lovely to have constant, stable electricity, constant, stable water. We still have issues around that. Hopefully in the next few years, the country's going to continue to work on it, and we'll find alternative ways to make sure that these things are stable. stable, but it is better. So even for a lot of you that come and complain about these things, I'm like, what are you complaining about? Well, there is still stuff to complain about, but it's definitely not as bad. I remember my dad telling me one time that he was in Ghana and then it was light off, the light came back, and it literally came back with so much force that it's ruined every single appliance in the house, because when the power comes back in, sometimes it's too much, it's not stable, and so it just blew everything in the house. Like, experiences like that we don't necessarily hear of as much. It can still happen, by the way, but it doesn't happen as much and not to that level. So we thank God that there have been improvements, but we still definitely have a way to go. The last one is that Ghana is definitely more internationally recognized. Ghana is on the map. Okay, 11 years ago, Ghana wasn't so much on the map. People had a little bit of insight into what Ghana was or what potentially it could be, but it was very much under the radar, okay? Even when I was coming to Ghana, you've heard me say it before, why are you going to Ghana for? It's not good, it's this, it's that, you're being selfish, it's all those things happen. Now, if you tell people you move to Ghana, it's not so much of a taboo. A lot more people are accepting of it. Our parents are a bit more accepting of it, a bit more accepting of it. You know, it doesn't seem as so much of a crazy idea as what it was 11 years ago. It has changed. Ghana has adapted to be able to accommodate a lot more of the diaspora coming back. We still have ways to go, but it definitely is open. Ghana is open for business, and therefore the rest of the continent is also open for business. And so those are some of the major changes that I've seen over the 11 years. I'd love to know, if you've been in Ghana for a while, what other changes you've seen. Let's talk about it some more in the comment section. Right, so if you would like to do a one-to-one consultation with me about moving to Ghana, send me an email to dela@mortu.com. Hey, I can't talk. My goodness, what is happening today? I'm talking way too fast. Send me an email to dela@mortudela.com. Also, if you are coming to Ghana and you would like a soft landing, my apartments are available for rent. I have 2 one-bedroom apartments, so if you're interested in that, or if you're coming to Ghana for a stay, my apartments are available. Reach out to me, the same email address, dela@mortudela.com, and we can sort something out for you there. Okay, that's the end of the video. Hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comment section, all that good stuff. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Don't forget to also like, comment, and share this video. Until next time, I am out. Nutifafa.
Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're giving me